Hello again, fantasy football fans. This is your usual co-host, Michael Moore, with my other usual co-host, Russell Clay. Say hello, Russell.
How's it going, guys? I thought for a second there you were going to say I was not so usual.
No. I think,
which
if
I
anything,
guess could
the
be true.
last 3 weeks have shown you are the usual co-host of the Dynasty Slant, of course, powered by Pro Football Focus and brought to you by DraftKings. So Russell, we've done a lot of Dynasty stuff the last couple of weeks. Hopefully the listeners are enjoying it. I know I am. So let's just kick off with finally some game action last night. We'll cover that, and of course we will get to round 2 of our rookie mock draft a little later, and we will run down who won in round 1 and jump into round 2. But before all that, Russell, we finally had some game action last night. Vikings and Steelers in the Hall of Fame game. Not a lot of scoring, but, it's early. So I guess to kick things off, what were your impressions? What stuck out to you last night?
Yeah, it was totally irrelevant what actually happened in the game. It was just that I had some DraftKings preseason DFS open.
There you go. Nice plug. I like it.
And I was just watching just football. I mean, we haven't had it for so long now, and it's just exciting to have it back. I mean,
yeah, I know it's hard to believe that it will not go away for another 6 months or so, which is a good thing. So
it was not a fun game to watch. I will say
right.
that. But
again, it's the first game, so you can't hold it too much against them.
Yeah.
Well, let's cover some of the highlights, Russ. And again, like you said, it's not really anything that anyone should worry about, but I think there's certainly a couple things that people can take notice on. So let's just start at the top. Teddy Bridgewater did play the first series or two. Yep. 5 of 6, 44 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But look, I think the good news is here, he didn't fall on his face. He didn't throw a pick. He looked like an NFL quarterback, right?
Yeah, he looked good. That whole first team offense looked good. I'm excited to see Mike Wallace, and he was out there running around. Jerick McKinnon had a really nice reception where he just dodged someone and then ran someone over on the sideline. So that was pretty encouraging too. I mean, he's not going to have much of a role this year, but still like him for Dynasty,
Yeah, I think this is the Dynasty Slant, so it does warrant a slant from the Dynasty perspective. So, I mean, a couple other guys, of course, at running back, Adrian Peterson sat out. As is Minnesota want to do, meaning I think I saw a stat where Adrian Peterson hadn't played a preseason game since 2011, so nothing to worry about. Maybe the backup battle for running back there is something to watch. If you've got the two guys last year that took over for Peterson, Matt Asiata and Jerick McKinnon. Like you said, McKinnon had a pretty nice catch. That sort of is what he does. He's sort of the passing down guy there. Matt Asiata, the knock on him last year was his yards per carry wasn't great. Last night, though, 6 carries, 30 yards, had a 5-yard per carry or 5-yard per attempt number, but one of those carries was for 18 yards. So if you take away that, it's really 5 for 12, which isn't all that good. But anything to glean from that battle, Russ, at least this early on?
I think Asiata is pretty much what we think he is at this point in his career. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. If Peterson were to go down, he'd be the goal line guy again. And like we were talking about with McKinnon, he'd be the guy in the pass game. So anybody else stand out to you in this game? I did like the way Pittsburgh used Dree Archer. I think he
got a lot of carries. Well, not a lot of carries. He saw some action, though, at least.
I think they're going to use him early in the year when Le'Veon's out. Obviously, he's going to have a reduced role when he's not. But I could see a potential little role for him, like kick return, punt return, maybe a few carries, few receptions mixed in. So
yeah, I mean, if your Dynasty League gives you credit for return yardage, I think, that's a definite possibility for him.
Yeah, it'd be tough to fit him on your roster now, but definitely a guy to keep an eye on,
Yeah. Yeah, and another guy I mentioned just before we started, you've got McCoyle Pruitt, Rookie tight end for Minnesota, 4 catches for 51 yards. I mean, he really led every player last night in the stat department. Caught all of his targets, had a very nice 34-yard grab. Now, of course, Kyle Rudolph's the incumbent there, but for dynasty purposes, I think he's probably worth looking at, right? Like, what round, at least at this point in time, would you look to draft a guy like Pruitt, Russ?
Oh man, it'd probably still be in the later rounds of a startup. Maybe like a 4th or a 5th round of a rookie draft, but he showed some legitimate skills last night. And the thing with him was they were saying, like, at the combine and sort of how he played in college, that he's a real athlete, like really impressive. So, and I definitely saw that last night. That was like the first time I'd seen him play. So, something to get excited about for him. Yeah.
I mean, look, and you don't hope for this, but the fact is Kyle Rudolph has not exactly been the healthiest guy on the field. So it's, if Pruitt can win the backup job out of camp, I think it's possible he sees action at some point during the season. And look, Minnesota has probably my favorite offensive coordinator of all time in Norv Turner. So at least for fantasy purposes. So I think with those things, and look, he's got a good quarterback in Bridgewater. I think he's worth a flyer in those later rounds, like you said. So, all right. Without further ado, Russ, let's get right into the continuation of our rookie mock draft, round 2 edition. Just to bring the listeners up to speed, I will quickly recap round 1 in order. And this was, for the record, a 12-team standard scoring league, standard position format, meaning, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 receiver, tight end, and a flex. So with that said, the order last week went Todd Gurley, Amari Cooper, Melvin Gordon, Kevin White, TJ Yeldon, Tevin Coleman, Nelson Aguilar, Devontae Parker, Amir Abdullah, Brashad Perriman, excuse me, I'm thinking of his father, Jameis Winston, and Duke Johnson. So that was the top 12. I will kick things off as I
that's an underrated fact about Perriman, though. His dad was an NFL receiver.
It's literally in the genes, yeah. So, and hey, look, just going old school, Brett Perriman was pretty good. I remember those days when he was opposite Herman Moore in Detroit. Those were good times. So, but I will kick things off. So, round 2, pick 1. I'm going to go with my personal favorite at this point in the rookie mock draft. That would be one Phillip Dorsett, receiver from the Colts. I know you and I sort of talked offline about him, and we covered him when we were talking T.Y. Hilton a couple weeks ago. But, he was drafted in the first round by the Colts. He looks kind of like a T.Y. Hilton clone. I mean, if you ask me, they're both a little undersized compared to, I guess, the quote prototypical receiver. But man, they can run routes and they can run fast. And he's on a high-powered offense with obviously a very good quarterback. Some would say the top dynasty quarterback. And look, a lot of his value, I think, hinges on if Hilton comes back next year. But even if he does, I think I would hold on to Dorsett because I think they'll find a way to get him the ball. So what do you think, Russ? Is that too high? 13th overall?
Not at all. I love that pick. I was thinking about, really, I think him and Duke Johnson are pretty interchangeable. And they both went to the same school. So there you go. But yeah, he was super efficient in college. I've heard great things out of the Colts camp lately, like saying they can't even keep up with him. Like if they're not fully paying attention to that guy, like he's way out of the picture and they can't find him. So that's definitely good. It's been positive reports the entire time since we talked. So yeah, I'm buying the hype for sure.
Yeah, and look, sort of like we touched on last week, at this stage anyway in rookie drafts, you got to go with just who you think the best player could be. You can't really look a whole lot at situation because at this point, I don't know that there's anyone that you'll be drafting that's going to be starting right away, or at least has a decent chance. You've got to go with with just best player available. And I mean, maybe look at the situation, but certainly not with an eye towards starting anytime soon, at least not initially. So anyway, first pick of the second round's out of the way, Russ. Who do you have at number 2?
I got to get my quarterback now, so I'm going to go with Marcus Mariota.
Nice.
A fantastic college player, pretty much checks all the boxes. From all reports, he's a good guy, quiet guy, just has passion and just works hard. So, I mean, people want to look down on that sort of stuff, but I don't know. If he's a quiet leader, that's fine with me. Tennessee isn't a perfect situation, but I think he can sort of turn that around at least. All he needs is it to be a good fantasy situation. The Titans don't need to be winning games for him to be scoring fantasy points. And sometimes it might be a better thing for them to be coming from behind,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But yeah, I think, and this is kind of an interesting what if, but, and try to remember where we were at last year. Where would you put Mariota compared to the quarterbacks of this class plus last year's class in a rookie draft? I mean, would you have taken him ahead of Bridgewater, knowing what we knew about Bridgewater this time last year?
See, those 3 and those 2 and Jameis are pretty much – I viewed them all pretty similarly.
Okay.
Bridgewater dropped, but I didn't view him that way. And I don't think many people – a lot of people viewed him as an elite prospect, and for some reason in the draft process he sort of dropped. But – ooh, I'd put him 3rd, but it's like they're all in the same tier to me.
I think the point I was going after was he's definitely better than Blake Bortles or Johnny Manziel were this time last year. And like you said, I mean, they're going to be behind a lot, so he's going to be out there a lot chucking it. And I like to think that they have added to his supporting cast, and we'll probably touch on that a few picks from now. But and look, he's got the skill set. It may not translate to elite status, but look, I think he's got the makings of a NFL starter for many years. And
he's got the rushing ability, which is huge, even when you have a down passing week, if you can get 50 to 60 rushing yards. Yeah,
if you can harness that, then, you have some value there. You're absolutely right. So, I think at this point it's not a bad pick. I mean, look, he's a starting quarterback. He should be for a few years, and that's really all you can ask for. And look, compared to some of the other players at other positions, he's probably more of a sure thing at this point than some of the guys we'll be talking about that are more of the flyer/lottery ticket type. So no, I like that pick. So, all right, so that will put me on the clock at number 3 of the second round, or what is that, 15th overall?
Yeah, 15th overall.
And the funny part was I thought between the two of us somebody took this guy last week, but they didn't. I will go out on a limb and take Maxx Williams at this spot. It's not so much an indication of what I think Maxx Williams is. I just think between the tight end class of this year and, quite honestly, the other running backs in this class, like we touched on, I think that causes him to fall a little bit. But at this spot, I'm very happy to get him. The top tight end taken in the actual NFL draft by Baltimore. He should slot right in and start right away. At least I would think so. He will face, I guess, stiff competition from Crockett Gilmore, but we'll see how that pans out. But look, I think they probably view him as the heir to Dennis Pitta, and probably are hoping he is what Dennis Pitta was supposed to be, which was a huge tease for all of us, myself included. But look, if he can turn his career into what Dennis Pitta should have been over a couple years, I would take that all day, right?
Absolutely. I like Maxx Williams a lot. In terms of tight ends for fantasy football, you're not really looking at much year one, but a lot like Philip Dorsett, you're looking at, even as close as year 2, I love the tight end spot with Joe Flacco. I don't know. It just seems like his style is either throw it deep or dump it off usually. And that's how
Right.
he's played thus far in his career. So for the same reason we all kind of got enamored with Dennis Pitta for a while before all the injuries, I think Maxx Williams is more talented, and I like everything about him right now.
Yeah. And look, at this point in the second round of a rookie draft, again, you're not going to necessarily be drafting a starter for this year. I think you
Right.
have to assume he's not. But, you know, at the same time, he, like you said, he enters a very good situation with, you know, again, Joe Flacco gets a lot of flack, no pun intended. But, you know, fantasy-wise, I think he could be a good supporting quarterback for guys like Williams and for Perriman, who went in the first round of our mock. So, yeah, I like him. I think there's a very high ceiling there. Like you said, if you're drafting the tight end and expecting a lot of contribution from year one, you're probably not going to get it. But, you know, year 2 and 3 is sort of the sweet spot for that. So if you can just hang on for that 1 year, I think it could pay off for somebody. So, all right, Russ, round 2, pick 4, you're on the clock.
All right, I am going to go with Jalen Strong here.
Nice.
Houston Texans. They don't have a quarterback right now, but this is Dynasty, so we can wait. He's got fantastic hands. He was very productive at Arizona State. And surprisingly, when I watched him and sort of when I evaluated him initially, I didn't think he was that great of an athlete. So I kind of shied away from him. And then he fell to the 3rd round in the draft. So I kind of faded him a little bit there too. But then I looked at his combine, and he actually did pretty well. He ran a 4.44 40 time, and he had a 42-inch vertical. And he's a pretty big guy. He's like 6'2" or 6'3". So that's really good measurables for a guy like that. So in the mid-second round, I'm willing to throw a pick at him.
Yeah. No, I like that pick. He was pretty high on my board too. I mean, look, because of the lack of talent in Houston, he's already probably the number 3 receiver there behind everyone's favorite sleeper, DeAndre Hopkins, and Cecil Shorts. Not everyone's favorite sleeper. You know, and look, it shouldn't be too much of a challenge to overtake Shorts probably later in the season if Strong lives up to what we all think he should. So, yeah, no, I like that pick. Yeah, like you said, 6'2", 217. He can definitely catch the ball in traffic. He doesn't shy away from contact. I mean, he's a little rough around the edges, meaning he can probably stand to clean up the route running a tad. Yeah. But, you know, if he does that, look, I think that could be taught. But, look, if you've got an eye for going over the middle, then I think you can probably find a job. So.
And that's one thing that's deceiving about players. Like, I didn't think he was athletic, which is completely not true. But
Right.
It was just he's a messy route runner, so it made him look a little slower than he is, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, I like that pick. And like you said, it's not the best quarterback situation, but again, with the Dynasty Slant that we are looking through, you got to believe there'll be another quarterback there next year. At least you hope so. So, all right. No, that's a good pick. I like that pick. All right. So round 2, pick 5. And I think, Russ, this is where things might get a little wacky just because it's not going to be as much of a consensus, especially this point in the draft. But I'm going to go running back, and I'm going to go another Baltimore player, and I'm going to go Buck Allen.
Ooh.
So,
nice.
You know, the more I was reading about him, and look, he's having a good training camp, the more I think there's something there. He's good in pass protection already. He's got good hands. I mean, he's already viewed as a receiving threat out of the backfield. And look, it's not a whole lot of competition there in Baltimore. I mean, you've got Justin Forsett, but look, Forsett's already 29. It's not as if he's going to be there for another 5 years. You've got Lorenzo Taliaferro, who, you know, I think was everyone's favorite sleeper running back last year, but for whatever reason didn't pan out. So at best case, I think Taliaferro gets goal line work, but doesn't necessarily have the full-time backup running back job. And look, Allen has shown to be very talented so far. So at this stage, you know, running backs are extremely scarce, but I really like what I see in Allen. I think that could be something there. So what do you think, Russ? Is that crazy?
I like that and I think some of your work on the running back age curve sort of influenced the way you view that situation, right?
Nice plug, Russ. Yes, everyone go to profootballfocus.com. Actually, you know what? That's a good segue. I'm just going to do that right now because if you get a PFF Fantasy Gold subscription, you get the best fantasy football advice for only $29.99 for the year, which is less than $2 per week during the season, and you get industry-leading projections, award-winning rankings, tools, weekly content for redraft, IDP, dynasty, and daily formats from the best minds in the industry, including myself and Russ. So don't delay. Sign up now at profootballfocus.com, and you can too look at the running back cliff article I wrote. But anyway, Russ, you were saying.
Okay, get back in here. Okay. No, I think everyone is so focused on Justin Forsett right now that we're not looking at the long-term picture. And I fell into this a little bit myself early in the offseason, and he's coming off such a great year that it just doesn't seem possible for him to totally regress. But he's a one-hit wonder at this point. And we don't know how he's going to react to 2 years of feature carries. So if he were to go down, who's behind him? Buck Allen. Right. So, I mean, that's potentially a feature back. I don't know if he's the most talented, but he can receive the ball. He's a pretty good runner. So, I mean, he can do it all. So if he can eat up that entire feature role and get that chance, then yeah. He's a great guy to take a chance on.
And look, let's not forget, Baltimore has probably my second favorite offensive coordinator in Mark Trestman. He of the 100 catch for my running back season last year with Matt Forte in Chicago. So, yeah, you hit on a good point. I mean, especially, again, this is a standard scoring rookie mock, but, you know, even in that you get receiving yardage, and if it's PPR, even better. So, all right. So, round 2, pick 6. Russ, you were on the clock.
Okay. It's getting tough with these receivers because not all of them are going to emerge, but some of them, one or two, are going to be really good. So I guess I'll just keep throwing myself at them.
Keep throwing darts at them.
I'll go with Devin Funchess
Okay.
out of Michigan. He plays for the Panthers now. I just love his skill set. He's basically an oversized wide receiver. He's a little on the slower side, but he just can do work in traffic, and he's super athletic for his size. I know there's a lot of talk about him and Kelvin. I don't really think their roles mix at all. I kind of think they're a perfect match because Kelvin is sort of a deep ball guy. No, like that's sort of how I view him.
Yeah. Well, look, he proved, and I had some notes on Funchess too, because I was strongly considering taking him around this point. But, look, we all thought Kelvin Benjamin was going to be too slow as well. But, look, he ended up being a really good deep threat, not just a red zone threat. So
right. So, the red zone's going to be a little clogged. I'll admit that. But the guy I see this affecting is Greg Olsen. Because I think Funchess is going to end up taking over as the number 2 option in that offense. And that's going to take all those underneath targets from Greg Olsen. So I do think Greg Olsen's a good player, but I don't see him affecting sort of the development of a Devin Funchess.
Okay. Yeah, Greg Olsen, perhaps fantasy's most underrated tight end possibly in history. So. And I say that as a proud Greg Olsen owner for like 4 or 5 years running. So, but no, look, what I take away from Funchess in Carolina is, look, we were hearing a lot of the same things with Benjamin last year. Oh, he's too big to play receiver. He's still very raw. We heard a lot of the same things. And look, they made it work with him. Given he had a pretty fast start, Benjamin, and sort of tailored off at the end, but I think with him out wide, and you still got Greg Olsen, and hopefully a fully healthy Jonathan Stewart, I think you can take some of the pressure off Funchess this year, and he can sort of learn the position and develop, like you said, and look, turn into a very good a second option in that offense. So I don't think anyone views him as sort of a top flight receiving option at this point, but look, he can be a very productive guy in a decent offense. So I can't fault you for that one, Russ. So, all righty then. Well, we are now at pick 7. See, now it's getting crazy. So
there's a few more guys, and then there's another big tier drop.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? And this is perhaps a dynasty lesson / topic all in itself. But I will take the flyer. I will take Dorial Green-Beckham here at 2.7. Honestly, not because I necessarily am enamored with him, but I think that's just a lot of talent at this spot, and it's very good value.
We obviously view him pretty similar because he would never drop this far in like a real rookie draft because there's always like that one guy in your league that really loves his talent.
Which, look, he's capable, but I think you and I have shown to be prone to a little more conservative play in dynasty leagues. And, but with Green-Beckham, at least at this spot, meaning the second half of the second round, I don't think I have a choice at this point. I mean, look, going into college, he was the #1 overall recruit, not just receiver, overall, right? So he obviously had the talent. 6'5", 237. Again, a couple of issues in college that dropped his stock dramatically. I mean, he was viewed as a consensus first-round pick, and then, he gets kicked out of school, and it's just not a good situation. And for dynasty football purposes anyway, he goes to a team that, quite frankly, probably won't be contributing a whole lot in the next year or two. But, again, at this point, I think you got to take a flyer on the talent.
So much upside at this pick, and I probably should have picked him over Funchess, but I wanted to be stubborn. But no, it's really crazy that even after all Green-Beckham's been through, that he was still a second-round pick. Mm-hmm. Like after all those red flags, and someone still felt confident enough to take him that high. It's a really good sign.
And not just anyone, but a team that just took a quarterback with their first pick that they're going to develop. So it's not like it was a team with like a veteran quarterback with 10 years experience that can take him under his wing. They purposely paired him with Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. I didn't like when that first happened, I was just of any other team, I would love that. Like I would love those two together. But the Titans just gives me a weird feeling like they could screw that up. But I'm optimistic that he has talent. He has the ability to sort of. I think he has #1 wide receiver ability.
He definitely has that ceiling. There's no doubt about it. And it's one of those real. I mean, this is the definition of a boom or bust pick. I mean, it could end up really, really good for somebody, or it could end up really, really bad for somebody. So, and look, it's not like Tennessee doesn't have experience with that. Hello, Justin Hunter. So you never know. But again, at this point, if Green-Beckham's there, I think you and I agree. We strongly urge you to take him. So, all right. Round 2, pick 8, Russ. You are on the clock.
Okay. Yeah. And after him, there's a big drop off. So like if you're into like trading draft picks and stuff, once sort of the Funchess, Dorial Green-Beckham, like Maxx Williams, Mariota are off the board, you might want to look to trade that pick if someone really wants to move up. But okay. So I'm gonna go with Devin Smith here. He just got hurt, so I am aware of that. But I love his college production. It was incredible. He averaged 28 yards per catch his senior year. So
at a big time school. It's not like he was at Appalachian State and he was just like running circles around guys. I mean, he played at The Ohio State against big time competition. So.
And they spent a high pick on him, a high second rounder. I mean, he just checks out. He's fast. He's tall for sort of just a speed deep threat guy. So I just like him. I like his profile. Again, he's not a year one guy. And that's the problem with a lot of these second-round guys. You're not going to get much year one unless someone gets injured. But as a developmental piece for deep threat, yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, I can't fault you for that. I mean, and when you consider, Brandon Marshall seems to not stay in any one place very long, and two, he's already I think 34, and I'm pretty sure I read he's like ready to retire if this is it. So there could be a starting job opening up in New York very, very soon. So no, I like that pick. I mean, look, it's kind of the same thing with Green Beckham, where it's a little bit of a flyer, but look, if anyone can do it, he could. He's got the physical asset for it. So yeah, no, I'm all in for that pick. So yeah, and like you said, you get to this point and you just are sort of throwing darts, but
yeah,
that's okay. I will also go receiver. I will go with Chris Conley from Kansas City. Another sort of combine physical freak. He was just very good at the combine. He's got the frame for it. 6'2", 213. He literally blew up the combine. He's got a big catch radius. I think he had leaping ability on par with Calvin Johnson when he was in the combine.
We throw around the term freak often because all these guys are physical freaks. But Chris Conley is like
he's a freak amongst freaks. He's a freak amongst freaks.
He ran a 4.35 and had a 45-inch vertical.
Right. I mean, look,
incredible.
And at this point, I mean, I would love that pick. I would love having that guy stashed away and knowing, hey, year one, it probably don't expect a lot, but look, he can develop into something very, very good. Now, given he's not on the best team to be a receiver on, and he does have Jeremy Maclin in front of him, so it's not like he's got a clear path to number one status. But again, with those physical tools, at least I think if you draft him in a dynasty league, you put yourself in a good position with him to eventually cash in. So yeah, I like getting a pick like that this late. And yeah, you just sort of see what happens.
Cash in is a great way to phrase that, because even if he just has a few great catches next year, the hype train will be huge on him. Right. So there might even be a chance to sell for a good player, even if we don't know if he's a good player.
Well, that and something that I'm sure we will be a lot more aware of in the coming weeks, but. You see the effect that preseason has on these guys, meaning all these rookies are going to get a lot of snaps in preseason. They're going to get a lot of playing time. And look, I mean, this is really when these guys are going to separate themselves from the pack. So, if you can do a rookie draft this early, then I think there's some chance to get some sleepers or sneak some guys later in rounds. But as you get closer to the season, again, the cream is sort of going to rise to the top. So, get these guys while you can, I think is the lesson there. So, all right, Russ, pick 10 of round 2. You're on the clock.
Okay, I'm going to go with Josh Robinson. He's the Colts' backup running back, basically, or third stringer, depending on who you ask. I loved his college production and what he did last year. Admittedly, he was sort of a one-year wonder, but then he left early, which weirded me out, and then he dropped to the 6th round. So rather than build on that resume, he sort of just jumped. I think he could have gone a few rounds higher if he had stayed another year. But that's besides the point. We're here now. I just think Frank Gore's getting old, and you can't deny that. He's probably still good, but, I mean, 32, he's probably got 1 or 2 years left max. And then it's going to be a wide-open role. And even if he's just a handcuff, the potential opportunity is worth the pick there for me.
Yeah, no, I love the opportunity. And look, it's sort of what we've talked about before, which is you get, I think, as many players on good teams as you can. And look, things are going to shake out however they're going to shake out, but at least you can put yourself in a good position. And like you said, I mean, there's not a whole lot of competition there in that backfield.
No.
I mean, you've got Boom Herron behind Frank Gore, which I don't think anyone views Boom Herron as the heir apparent in Indianapolis. So, and yeah, look, he's going to learn in a very good situation. He's going to obviously learn the position from one of the best in Frank Gore. He's going to have Andrew Luck pass it or handing it off to him. Yeah, it's a very good situation. And look, I don't think there's any problem taking a guy in that good a situation at this point in a rookie draft. So, no, I couldn't fault you for that. And like you said, it could be that, Frank Gore gets hurt. He doesn't finish the season out or whatever, and they have to count on him immediately. So, no, can't fault you for that pick at all, Russ. So, all right, 2-11 for my last pick. I will also go running back, and I will go with Matt Jones from Washington. Really, like you said, there's a big drop off as far as tiers go. So all these guys are going to have their flaws, but with Jones, I think you've got a guy that, like Josh Robinson, honestly, enters a good situation. Maybe not for the same reasons. He's certainly not on a offensive powerhouse like the Colts, but look, he's behind Alfred Morris, which it's sort of a situation like T.Y. Hilton where until they re-sign Morris, I don't think you can count on him being there next year. And look, they drafted Jones with a fairly high draft pick in the third round. His own general manager, Scott McLaughlin, compared him to Marshawn Lynch. He's 6'2", he's 231, so he can take a beating and keep on ticking. And look, I think if he can develop some pass protection skills, which admittedly they're not there yet, but if he can, and he can see some snaps in this preseason, and he can show that he can, essentially not screw it up by fumbling or giving up sacks, then I think he'll take some snaps away from Morris. And look, I think if they let him go, look, it's a ready-made job for him. So, and again, just like I was saying with Buck Allen, at this point, running backs are few and far between, so I think you got to grab them while you can. So,
not even to use hyperbole here, that was the weirdest pick in the entire draft to me.
Really?
It was just not only them picking a running back high with Alfred Morris there, but I didn't see him coming at all. He wasn't on my pre-draft radar whatsoever. And when you start to look closer at him, he's he's a pretty interesting prospect. The production wasn't there because he was at Florida, and obviously you're going to struggle. Like, Florida's been really bad for quite a few years, so that kind of explains the production there. And then when you look at through that angle, I'm kind of in on him. Like, this could be a potential, a lot like Josh Robinson, where if he gets a shot, he might just run with it,
Yeah.
and you might have a starting running back next year.
At this point, I think it's low risk, and you just stash as many running backs that even could sniff the starting lineup as possible. So,
Right.
All right, Russ, round 2, pick 12, the last pick in this rookie mock. Take it home.
All right, I'm going to go with Justin Hardy from the Falcons.
I like that. I like that pick.
I think there's a lot of vulnerability there in that wide receiver position. Leonard Hankerson's apparently been doing well, but he's all right. But I don't think
Leonard Hankerson done anywhere. I don't buy that. So
I don't think he's going to hold them back long term from anything like that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, and look, it's another good situation. I mean, obviously
Roddy is 34,
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, Roddy White, as ageless as he seems, that train will come to an end at some point. So, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, look, Hardy was mixing in with the first team early on in training camp. Now, it was super early, and it's not as if he's taken anyone's job away yet. But, look, they obviously drafted him pretty high, 107th pick, third round. And look, if he can develop sort of that slot role, I mean, that could potentially be a very good situation with him and Roddy and obviously Julio Jones on the outside.
He was a walk-on his freshman year at East Carolina, and he ended his career as the all-time receptions leader in college football, which is just that's a mind-blowing story to begin with. So I kind of fell in love with the storyline there, but I think he definitely has legit ability. I think he can emerge there.
I think so. And look, it's another decent situation. You got a good quarterback, you've got a good supporting cast, so he's not going to be thrown to the wolves just yet. So no, couldn't fault you there. And again, especially this late in rookie drafts. Again, you're going for what you view as best player available, and however you get to that conclusion, that's how you get to it. So,
right.
All right, Russ. Well, that was good. I think we, definitely covered a wide spectrum of of players on this rookie mock draft. So that was good. And then, that wraps it up for the rookie mock. We'll be back next week with another edition of the Dynasty Slant. But until next time, we will see all of you later.